Our daily Bible reading for March 11th. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15. We'll be reading verses 1 through 20. As soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council, and they bound Jesus and led him away and delivered him over to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." And the chief priests accused him of many things. And Pilate again asked him, "Have you no answer to make? See how many charges they bring against you." But Jesus made no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. Now at the feast he used to release for them one prisoner for whom they asked. And among the rebels in prison, who had committed murder in the insurrection, there was a man called Barabbas. And the crowd came up and began to ask Pilate to do as he usually did for them. And he answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For he perceived that it was out of envy that the chief priests had delivered him up. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have him release for them Barabbas instead. And Pilate again said to them, "Then what shall I do with the man you call the king of the Jews?" And they cried out again, "Crucify him." And Pilate said to them, "Why, what evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. And the soldiers led him away inside the palace, that is, the governor's headquarters. And they called together the whole battalion, and they clothed him in a purple cloak. And twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on him. And they began to salute him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they were striking his head with a reed and spitting on him and kneeling down in homage to him. When they had mocked him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him and led him out to crucify him. A few thoughts for today. Pilate plays a pivotal part in one of the most decisive trials mankind has ever put on. No single trial has ever come close to affecting the fate of so many as did this one. That fateful night, Pilate, unwitting, becomes the center of history. If he only knew what his own fate would be from this, how different he might have acted. Yet, this is true of each decision that not only he, but you and I face. History will record that Pilate will come under scrutiny from another ruler in Judea, Herod Agrippa I, who would write a letter to Caesar and describe him as naturally inflexible and a blend of self-will and relentlessness. Aside from this secular reference, little is left outside the Bible to set this man apart in the annals of history. Yet, it is this one singular event that will forever define him. The trial of Jesus, however illegal it may have been, follows, to a great extent, the procedural tenets of the day, false testimony notwithstanding. He is brought before Pilate several times, and then to various other authorities to maintain a sense of legality. Still, it is Pilate, normally ruling from Caesarea on the Mediterranean coast, whom fate has allowed to participate in this trial of the ages. Pilate will time and again defy his better judgment that admits Jesus' innocence. He will, however, buckle under the pandering of those whom he must keep peace with to maintain a healthy balance of peaceful coexistence in Judea. In our passage today, Pilate will seek for a reply from Jesus, knowing that serious allegations have been brought against him. Had it been merely a dispute of the law of Moses, Pilate might well have followed the course of a future leader of Achaia in Acts 18, Gallio, who would refuse to have any part of such proceedings. But this won't do for Pilate. Even to his amazement, Jesus makes no reply as to the accusations. 7 centuries before, Isaiah the prophet would record this very scene in his book preserved for us to this day. See if you recognize it from Isaiah 53. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. Like a lamb that is led to slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before its shears, so he did not open his mouth. Though Jesus had all authority, as we read in Matthew 28:19. He would relinquish it for our benefit, for our very souls. A question of the day. It is a humbling feeling to know that any authority we have is only what God has given us. And finally, a thought to meditate on this day. The governments of this present world can work together for good or evil. They always have the choice. And those are our thoughts for today, March 11th.